Good morning. Hope everybody's doing great. So excited to be here. First SEC Media Days. Excited to get a chance to see you guys in person for the first time. I have done a lot of Zoom calls with you here over the last 6 months for sure, and maybe longer than that. But excited to be here and have an opportunity to represent Tennessee. I hope you guys have had a great summer. My wife and I knew in coming to Knoxville that it was going to be a special place to live for our two kids, 13 and 11, Hannah and Jace. And through the month of June, obviously recruiting was a busy time, but here in July, we've gotten a chance to really partake and enjoy Tennessee lifestyle and Tennessee living. It's been great to connect with the community. Whether that's in Knoxville, floating the river, or jumping on the boat in the lake and hitting some of the trails, or going up to the Smoky Mountains and floating down the river with our kids. It's been a lot of fun, and my daughter has picked up the game of golf and has been knocking the cover off it. And those of you that know me know that I'm not much of a golfer, but she's been able to swindle me out there and get me on the course a little bit. Appreciate this opportunity. It's great to be back in the SEC. As a player, as a coach, I've always admired this league. Believed in what it is, the strength of it, from top to bottom, the number of talented players that you're able to recruit to this brand and compete at the highest level. And it's been a lot of fun being back in here. I'm honored to be the head coach of Tennessee football. This is one of the great and iconic logos in all of college football, steep in tradition. It's a great honor to be the caretaker of Tennessee football at this time, and really proud of what our players and our staff have done in 6 months, and just couldn't be prouder and really excited about getting back onto to the football field. And as we talk today a little bit, just had a lot of fun getting to know the former players at Tennessee, connect with the community, and this great iconic logo, be able to put a new age approach on it while celebrating all the great traditions that are Tennessee football. The first priority when I and our staff got to Tennessee was about relationships, and it still is today. That'll be the foundation of everything that we do inside of our program. But that came through a conversation with our players. The first night I got hired, I had about an hour and a half meeting with them, and one of the things that I realized that they recognized that they wanted and needed was connection. And that's why we spent an inordinate amount of time as a staff connecting with our players and getting to know them, their strengths, their struggles, their greatest triumphs, the hardships that they've faced, and have had a lot of fun in doing that. In recruiting over the last 6 months, our staff has put a ton of time and energy into developing those same relationships with recruits. And we've started inside out in our footprint here in Tennessee, and then gone across the country. It's one of the great things about the logo is the ability to recruit from coast to coast. And our staff's done a great job of developing those same relationships with parents and families, and really got an opportunity to connect with them in June as they were able to get on campus for the first time. And the third group of people that we've really tried to connect with is our VFLs, our Vol for Life. And you look at some of the great players in college football, they've worn the power T, and the ability to welcome them back, embrace them, and for them to give back to our current players and know that this is their home forever has been something that's been fun to start building again. And you're talking about some of the great players that have ever played the game. And Reggie White, Peyton Manning, T. Martin, Alvin Kamara, Charles Davis. Those are just a handful of guys that are celebrated at Tennessee, and for those that are still living have been able to come back and be a part of our program. That ties into the type of program that we want to have and we will have at Tennessee. We want to be innovative, but we want to have fun. And I believe in the player experience. Having played the game at the highest level and been able to hoist a trophy as a player, chasing that championship is something that you'll never forget. That's a journey that you'll never forget. But those relationships are really important as well, and we want to live those things out every single day. That's why we've spent so much time building that inside of our program, inside of our walls. From the time that I've gotten there, if you've followed us at all, you've seen us, whether it's dodgeball after a 6:30 morning workout on a Friday afternoon, whether it's a crawfish boil followed by kickball after a summer workout on a Tuesday evening, you've seen us spend time with our players, and that pays forward once we get on the football field. I believe that connection matters when you face adversity, that you know the person that's standing to the next to you, left or the right, and you can depend upon those people. And that also plays into how we've embraced the NIL, name, image, and likeness. You look at, I just look back on my career as a player and the opportunities that would have been afforded to me while I was playing, not just when I got done. I think there's a unique opportunity for players to embrace that, for programs to embrace it, to educate our players, for them to take advantage of it, and for them to grow. I think Grant Firking, one of our wide receivers who currently runs a business while he's a student athlete as well, said it best when he said this is an opportunity for our players to grow and have awareness of their brand and who they are and what they're trying to accomplish long-term in life, and they get an opportunity to do it from the moment that they step foot on campus. And there's not a better place in America to do that than Knoxville, Tennessee. Top 5 in every social media platform. You look at followership. You look at the city of Knoxville itself within this league, one of the most prominent cities. You're looking at national and worldwide headquarters that are located in Tennessee or in Knoxville. It's a special place to come play college football, and everything and anything that you want to do in the game and outside of the game has been done at Tennessee and will be done again. And finally, before I open it up to questions, I'm going to talk about the way that we want to play, and I think a lot of people get caught up in the offensive style of football, and certainly we want to play fast with tempo, but as an entire football program, we want to play fast and be physical. But when I say the word fast, I'm talking about in the way that we play, not just from play to play, but how we play the play. And to do that, you got to be able to put your kids in a position to understand what they're doing, to unlock their natural opportunities of who they are, their physical capabilities, and let them go play. You look at the last 3 national championships offensively, I think every team has averaged over 520 yards on offense. You look at what we've been able to do in our track record as a staff at the previous 2 stops at UCF and at Missouri, top 5 in basically every offensive category the last 3 years. The 2 years previous to that, while we were at Missouri, led the league in total offense. This is a quarterback-friendly offense that's going to allow us to play and apply pressure to defenses every single Saturday that we step on the football field. And obviously we understand that in this league, the line of scrimmage is extremely important too, but I think the tempo on the offensive side of the ball gives us the ability to create an advantage in that aspect. We got to continue to recruit and develop big, large people up front that will change the line of scrimmage as we continue to play. And we got a great amount of guys that are coming back on both sides of the line of scrimmage, offensively and defensively, from last year's football team that have an opportunity to be a strength for us. Defensively, we've hired an experienced staff. Coach Banks, you look at his track record, everywhere that he's been, the ability to create negative plays over his track record at Penn State. We're going to play physical. We're going to play fast. We're going to be aggressive defensively. And he's done a great job of incorporating a multiple scheme. Our kids have grabbed onto it, latched onto it, understand it, and I think that's going to allow them to play fast and free when we get to Saturday afternoons. I know that I'll get asked this question in a little bit, but we were hit by the transfer portal certainly before I got to campus. But that's been a double-edged sword, and I say that meaning that we were able to add 8 guys after spring ball through the transfer portal as well. And I think as we've gone through this summer and we get into training camp, those guys are going to have an opportunity to help us out as we get on the football field this fall. I appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you. Excited about getting to training camp here in a week or so with our players. Excited to run out of the tunnel on September 2nd and make that right-hand turn behind Smokey and ready to play in front of 103,000 in Neyland Stadium. So with that, I'll open it up to questions from you guys.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Abby, Christian, and Catherine will come. We ask that you give your name and affiliation, and please stand as you can so we can see you from the podium here. So we're going to start over here on our left-hand side alongside the wall.
Hey, Josh, Vince Ferrara, 99.1 The Sports Animal in Knoxville. You brought up the transfer portal, so first opportunity to talk to you since some of those guys have come on campus. Can you hit on some of those guys, what you're getting on those players that are coming in?
Absolutely. Our SID and I had a bet what was going to be the first question. I tried to hedge off the transfer portal before it got started, but I'm glad you came right back to it. Nah, it is. Obviously, our roster changed, right? By the time that I got there in late January, there were a large number of kids that were in the transfer portal. At the same time, we've been able to add really quality individuals inside of our program. We love the player, right, but we love the person too and what they're bringing as far as a culture piece inside of our program. Some of those kids we've had relationships with, whether it was a coach being at a previous school and having known them, who they are every day, or it was myself or other staff members that had recruited them coming out of high school. So feel really good about what we've added. A majority of those guys we really feel like are going to play meaningful snaps right from the get-go when we kick off in September. A handful or a couple of those guys, I should say, are guys that are going to have to earn it, like they all will, but guys that are going to develop in our program. I think for us, long-term, one of the benefits of the 8 pieces that we've added here after spring ball is that a majority of those guys have multiple years, and we'll be able to help our roster as we move forward as well.
We'll go over to the right side on the near aisle.
Ryan Lavoie, Sports Call Auburn. Coach, obviously this program about 20 years ago was used to competing for championships, and it's gone through a lot of coaches the last 10 or 15 years trying to get it back to that. How big do you think the chasm is from where the program is now to where it was then, and what is your vision for getting it back to that?
If you go by wins and losses, right, we're not where we need to be, for sure. But the only time constraints you put on that are ones you put on yourself. I have a different perspective a little bit maybe of the opportunity that is Tennessee football, and I say that from my playing experience. I went to Oklahoma when they hadn't been to a bowl game for, I think, 5 straight years, right? When you get the right alignment from president to chancellor to athletic director to head coach, and you hire a great staff, and you're consistent and you're accountable, I feel like you have an opportunity to move things forward quickly. And there's certainly challenges that we face as a program, but there's great opportunities. And that's why I came to Tennessee. This is Tennessee. This is one of the iconic programs in all of college sports and all of college football. We get an opportunity to celebrate the great traditions while put a new age approach on it. And our kids and our staff, they're all there because of that, right? They chose the Power T for those reasons. Our staff chose the Power T for those reasons. We're going to go out and compete every single day and push forward.
We'll go in the center section, about 6 rows back, right in front of the podium.
Hello, Coach Gerard Hamilton, Tuscaloosa News. The third game in October, versus Alabama. It's been a long time since Tennessee has been able to defeat them. So, for one, what have you been told in the community about how important that game is, and what will you be doing to try to rectify that and get a win versus them?
Yeah, certainly. That ball game's huge to the fan base and to our players, right? On both sides of it. You come to Tennessee to play in games like that. This fan base loves football. They breathe it 365 days out of the year, man. If it's recruiting, they care about recruiting. If it's spring ball, they care about what's going on the field. That's the challenge for us moving forward. But it's not about just one game this fall as we move forward, right? Our players understand that we're only as good as our next performance, right? And for us as a coaching staff and players, we have to take a one-day approach at it. And that means we can control today. We can't control 3 months from now. We can control today. If we take care of today and follow that up consistently, we're going to put ourselves in the best position to get where we want to go long term.
Coach, we're going to go over to our left-hand side alongside the wall. Mike.
Coach Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel, how you doing?
Great to see you.
Anything you miss about Orlando, and also how much different is it recruiting in the SEC maybe than it was at UCF?
I miss seeing you, Mike. All right, that's what I miss. Now, my wife, our family, I'll speak for our staff too, the guys that came with from the previous stop. It's a special place. It's got a great future ahead of it. This was a special opportunity, unique set of circumstances that felt like it was the right opportunity. But Orlando's a great place, man. If we miss one thing, it would be the beach that's 45 minutes away.
Coach, we'll go in the center section along on the right-hand side. White hat.
Coach Drew DeArmond, WZZN Radio, Huntsville, Alabama. You played the quarterback position at a high level. You were an impact transfer for Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, so I know you evaluate the position thoroughly. Talk about adding Joe Milton, and what did you see out of your quarterbacks this spring, such as a Harrison Bailey, that made you still want to add to that QB room in your first season?
Competition's the greatest friend that any coach has, right? You have to have it in that room. It's going to drive the players inside of it when you're not around it. And to me, Joe's got a unique skill set. Strong arm, accurate passer. I think he's a very bright young man that's picked up on what we've done so far really well. He's talented. He can spray the football field from sideline to sideline and vertically, and has a unique skill set with his size and mobility to use his feet as a weapon as well.
Which we're going to go right down in front of me, about 6 rows back, right here in the center section.
Ryan Shumpert, Rocky Top Insider. You've talked about doing things with a new age approach. Just what does that look like?
It's going to take a lot of different forms. It's the way that we communicate inside of our building. Every interaction that we have with players, with staff, with janitors, it doesn't matter who it is, creating and harnessing energy inside of our building. I think that's a really important thing that we've tried to build with our VFLs too, is harnessing that energy and creating positive momentum that surrounds our program where our kids feel that every single day. It's the way that we interact with them outside of the game. The things that I've talked about and that we've done with our players in the 5.5 months that we've been here. As we move forward, it may be different opportunities as far as what the uniform looks like when you run out on the field. Man, look good, feel good, play good. And we want to create a positive player experience from the moment that they step on campus until they're done, but have a long-term relationship with them that lasts forever.
Which we'll go over here to the left-hand side.
Eric Kane, the Sports Animal. I know a lot of positions are open in camp, specifically the quarterback position, as we already mentioned. How long until you start cutting down those reps and start singling down 2 guys, 1 guy, 3 guys, whatever the case may be? How long in the camp?
Year one, there's competition at every spot. There's no job that's secure at this. You got to go earn it every single day, and that's the rule in college football no matter what. You have to earn the right to get a rep, earn the right to prove that you're going to be on that football field and that we can trust you. I think the quarterback position it's really important that every other member of your team, offensively and defensively, see that guy has earned the opportunity to be your quarterback. When there's a bad play, and there will be at some point, they got to know that that's the right guy for them that's leading that football team. And that only comes through time. And so as we move, guys are going to earn more reps, guys will earn less reps. Once they've done that, we're going to move at that rate. And obviously we'll have started before we get to kickoff, and looking forward to that competition.
Coach, we'll go to our right alongside the near aisle.
Hey, Josh. Adam Luck at Kentucky Sports Radio to your right here. You mentioned line of scrimmage in your opening remarks, how it's kind of different in the SEC.
Yeah.
We hear that a lot. What makes it different in this league, and how difficult, I guess, is it to build that? And then secondly, you've been out of the league a few years. As you kind of dig into the tape, is there anything like schematically that's really changed that's kind of caught your eye?
Having been in the Big 12, this league, and then having been in the AAC, the line of scrimmage is different, and it's the size and the length of the bodies. You know what I mean? Up front, inside, it's their girth. On the edges, it's their ability to have length and speed. I think that is the difference in the league, or the number one thing that jumps out to you. And you can tell that just by the NFL draft, right? The number of bodies that get drafted up front in particular across the board in this league. And I think that speaks to what you're saying is the difference in the league, certainly. Was there a second part of your question, I think?
Schematically, has anything changed as you dug into the tape in the league that's caught your eye?
I don't think dramatically there's anything. I think there's ebbs and flows in everything that goes on in college football, from being more 12 personnel to being spread in 10 personnel. If you look at us offensively, that's one of the things that we take great pride in, is being able to be multiple, but change with what we have on campus. And that might mean 4 wide receivers. It might mean 2 tight ends. It's whoever's going to compete and play at a championship level.
Coach, we'll go right in front of me, about 3 rows back. Center section.
Coach Theodoros, Commercial Dispatch, Columbus, Mississippi. You mentioned those 8 transfers after spring ball. One of them is Javante Payton, a wide receiver from Mississippi State. What kind of player can he be for you guys this fall?
Just watching him, strength and condition, he's fast, he's explosive, he's got natural set of hands. Really feel like he's got an opportunity to compete and earn a spot and be a difference maker for us this fall. He's experienced, and I think that's important too. And just that wide receiver room, we have a little bit of age on the top, but we're really young underneath. And so his experience, having played in this league, I think is important for us and was an important piece for us to add this spring.
Coach, we'll go over to our left-hand side in the middle second.
Hey, Josh. Ben McKee with the Swain Event and VolQuest.com. Wanted to ask you about the transfers on the defensive side of the ball. I believe you have 2 at each level of the defense. Is there anything special you all will do during fall camp to try to improve on the cohesiveness or get them to gel together, or will you just kind of let fall camp just run its natural course? And then who are some of those defensive transfers that have stood out to you so far?
In particular, we were hit in the transfer portal on the defensive side of the football, and it felt like it was important that we added depth and experience on the defensive side of the football coming out of spring ball. And we were able to add a couple of bodies at each level. We kind of pinpointed that going into the process as we got probably midway through spring and felt like we had a handle on what our depth looked like. I really do feel like all of those guys are going to have an opportunity to compete and play meaningful snaps for us this fall.
We're going to stay in that same section. Edgar?
Yeah, Coach. Edgar Thompson with the Orlando Sentinel, serving as Mike Bianchi's mouthpiece here. Because you didn't get to the part about what's the difference recruiting at UCF versus recruiting in the SEC.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's earlier here on the top part of your board. I think that is probably the biggest difference between the two.
Okay, we'll go center section along the right-hand aisle.
Austin Stanley, A to Z Sports Nashville. With the fast-paced offense, how do you balance keeping that up-tempo style without wearing out your defense and keeping that in mind?
I think it's important that you balance it while you're going through practice. We have ebbs and flows in how we communicate and what type of tempo we play with during the course of practice. I think it's important that you manage the game and manage end-of-half situations extremely well. And understand that there's a pressure that you can apply by scoring too quickly or moving the ball too quickly at certain points in the game. And so you're trying to eliminate a possession or two by the way that you play at the end of those halves.
We're going to go to the center section along the left-hand aisle. Straight.
Hey, Josh. Dave Matter with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch here in the middle. Do you feel more prepared, more equipped for this job than compared to when you left Missouri for UCF, your first head coaching job? And if so, just how exactly?
I think you grow with every experience that you have as a player, as an assistant coach, as a head coach. This job is different than the job that I took over at UCF, and every job is different, whether it's your recruiting base, your conference, your location, the university. There's so many factors that go into it. I think that I obviously have grown over the course of my 3 years in being able to communicate and build a program from the bottom up.
So we'll go down front here on the left.
Hey, Coach. Madison Blevins here with WBIR TV and Knoxville. You say it's a quarterback-friendly offense. We've definitely seen that in the past, passing for upwards of 300 yards per game. But in the SEC, we also know that the run game is just important. So I just want to know how the running backs fit into your system.
Yeah, I think that's the misnomer about what we do offensively. You look at when we were at Missouri, I think we set a Power 5 record for fewest amount of 0 negative yard plays and then reset the record the following year. When we took over at Missouri, they were 125th in the country in total offense. We ended up leading the league for 2 straight years in total offense. We're very balanced in our approach. You look at our numbers, run and pass, we're extremely balanced. And so our ability for us, it really starts with the run game. And it starts with the 5 guys up front, your tight ends if they're playing. They're located in the core. And then our running backs have to be great with the football in their hands. That is a position that we're relatively young at. We're hidden by the transfer portal, but really like the guys that we have on campus.
Okay, we have time for one more question. We'll come up here to the front here with Bob.
Hey, Bob Holt, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You obviously work with Barry Odom at Mizzou. I was wondering, what you think of Barry. He's obviously still in the league at Arkansas. Just kind of what you think about him. And I know you don't face each other this year, but maybe watching game tapes, getting ready for this job, what you thought of what he did at Arkansas last season?
Man, bright, passionate, extremely competitive, tough, disciplined. Those are the things that he brought while I was there at Missouri. Just watching him from afar at Arkansas, I thought they took strides as the year went on defensively.
Coach Heupel, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of the summer. Look forward to seeing you guys relatively soon, whether that's on campus or through Zoom again. Have a great day. Go Big Orange.
Alabama has a record number of open jobs. Find yours at your local career center.